Hi, YouTube. Erica here from In the Company of Cards. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you all and thought I would come in just quickly and look at a couple of things. One that I saw in the news the other day, and the other one was a question that a viewer asked me to look at. So the first one is Fani Willis, she of the Georgia prosecution of 45, if you recall. She was disqualified by a lower court because of her uh, indiscretion with an investigator. You know the story. I mean, I wish that hadn't happened, but it did happen. And what I was happy to see is that she has appealed that decision to a higher court, asking to be reinstated. Now, let me hasten to say that um, don't get excited because it will have no bearing on what happens with a 45 because, he's going to be the president. But there are 14 other co-conspirators who still would need to be brought to justice. And if they were, it's not like that would be a good look for 45. So I would just like to know um, what will be the higher court's response to her to Fani Willis's request. Well, you know what? I forgot to light my candle. And if I mean, I don't need a candle to read, but I like to have a candle when I read. Okay, so here we are. Um, okay, so how will that request be met? She's asking to be reinstated on the case. And again, this will affect the co-conspirators, not so much 45 who can just, you know, slide out of it like you slid over out of everything. So I'm going to use the tower to stand for the court. And this is not the Supreme Court, but it may be the Supreme Court of Georgia. Certainly a higher court than decided the case in the first place. So that's who she's appealing to. There's her appeal. Now, her argument is that this has never happened, that, no prosecutor has been removed from a case for the appearance of impropriety. Um, and that's why they removed her. So she's saying, by doing that, they set a precedent that they shouldn't have set. And we have the star, the letter, the tower, the young man, and the sun. And I'll tell you, I think that moving forward, and I don't know when this is going to happen because this is the future, uh, I think her request will be granted because we have the sun there. I think the fact that she made the request is seen as a bold move because she could have just gone and hid in a corner and pulled a sheet over her head, and she didn't do that because she believes this case is that important. Again, I wish that she had not done what she did in the first place, but there are people who are um, thirsty for justice, and she's one of them. So I suspect that that high court will uh, reinstate her. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I think it will. The other thing I was asked to look at, and this is something that I have looked at before, but as we get closer to it, people are more anxious about it. And this is that they're calling it not the Women's March anymore. They're calling it the People's March. It's meant to happen on the 18th, and that means we're talking about next Saturday. Right. So next weekend is a big weekend. We've got Saturday, the People's March or the Women's March, whatever you want to call it. The following day is 45's rally on the 19th. And then the following day after that, the Monday, the 20th, is the inauguration. So my viewer said that they are attending the People's March, the Women's March, the People's March. and that, but they're anxious, and they're anxious because of 45's rally that will follow the day after. So I just wanted to take a look at how this Women's March, People's March, will go. Okay. And I'm going to use the garden for that because it's a gathering of people, and the garden stands for that. Okay. All right. So we're looking to see how the march will go. This is next Saturday, People's March, the Women's March, and we're looking for the garden. Okay. So this stands for the Saturday March next week. Okay. I'll probably pull some clarifiers, but our cards are the crossroads, the mountain, the garden, the scales, and the fish. I'm going to pull cards. Maybe I'll pull cards on all of these clarifying cards, and I will tip up. I took down my screen so you can see. Well, okay. So first card was crossroads, and crossroads to me, one of the meanings is alternate plan, alternate route, alternate arrangements. I mean, these two events, the 18th and the 19th, first the march and then the next day the rally, come one right after the other. And these two groups, I'm going to just say, at these two events are inimical to each other. In other words, not friendly towards each other. So there may very well have been talk about changing the route or something so that people don't encounter each other, um, because it was going to start out, the way it was supposed to start out, a peaceful rally. But, you know, we have this cross card here. And a lot of times this cross card is a card of pain, a card of sacrifice. And I feel like the organizers may have to um, do some quick thinking, sort of uh, alternate planning, exactly for the reason that my viewer was concerned about, because these groups are not friendly to each other. The second card after that crossroad is the mountain. And you know that this is my card for a delay. And the clarifiers are the whip, the bear, and the clouds. I'm going to just say that one of the intentions of 45, this is my card for the narcissist, entertainment purposes only, 45. I think that the part of what he hoped would happen is that it would stop it, that it would call a halt to the march, create problems for people, create doubt in people's minds as to whether or not they should attend, you know? I mean, he wants this rally on the 19th, his rally on the 19th, not the 21st. And he's having a big party on the 20th. So why the 19th? Because he knew that this People's March, Women's March, had been scheduled prior on the 18th. So he's just wanting to, here we go into the valley of the shadow of God knows what, because he knows that this creates a problem and that a lot of people may stay home because of that. Okay, so here's the march itself. We have the anchor, the letter, but then we have the book. Obviously, the people who are going to this march, or the organizers of the march on the 18th, have the permits that they need. So they're legal, they're ready to go, and all of that. But the question is, should they? Will they? I think it's up in the air. I'm not sure, but what it would be called off or the route rerouted or shortened, something like that. Okay, the next card in our original line was the scales. And the scales is about balance, fairness, justice, etc. And we have the rider, the dog, and the star. And I mean, the fact of the matter is that the 18th is not the 21st, which is to say the Biden administration, it will still be the one in charge. And so they will want to send a message that they are friendly to these organizers of the March on the 18th. And that if they want it to go forward, they'll do all they can to keep people safe. Uh, Final card in our line of five was the fish, the ring, the stork, and the man. And I feel like this feels more to me like Biden than it does 45. So, mm, I'm sure that this march on the 18th will be emotion filled. That's fish. Uh, but it's also people going over old ground. Um, we should have had these marches maybe beforehand. Um, I'm wondering if it's going to be rescheduled. I don't know. I mean, I like the stork. The stork's always positive change, and again, followed by the card that I think is for Biden. But I'm wondering with this crossroads card whether the organizers might say, you know what, uh, we really run risks here with people's health and safety. So we're going to shorten the route or change the route. Um, I mean, effectively by having the 45 having his rally the day after, he essentially and effectively poked a hole in the balloon of the people who were going to the rally on the 18th. That was his intention. That's why he called for his rally on the 19th as this sort of show of force in advance. Um, I mean, there'll be some changes made to the schedule. That's the best that I can say. I don't see, horrible things happening. You know what I mean? Um, but the fact of the matter is both groups will be in town. They will overlap each other. And if they are in proximity of each other, it could be unpleasant. I don't see anything horrible happening, but I do think that the organizers of the march are going to have to change their plans a little bit, or maybe a lot, to keep people safe. Uh, I mean, I wouldn't go personally, but that's just me for a lot of reasons. But I'm saying in terms of safety issues, I don't know if I would go. I think maybe people's better time is better served uh, being part of a resistance in a different way. That's what I think. Thank you so much for all your kind comments on my iPhone story. Boy, that was a crazy 48 hours. Glad it's over, but glad you enjoyed the story. Glad that the story had a happy ending. And tomorrow, please tune in because I have a Sunday conversation all ready to go for you in the morning, and I hope you'll enjoy that. And I'll see you early in the week next week. Take care.